Yeah, all right. Good. Well, thanks everybody so much for being here. I think you all know me, but I'm Autumn Bernstein, Executive Director, and Brian was reminding me, he's been running these meetings a lot. Thank you, Brian. Technically, we don't actually have a chair for these meetings, and so I guess we just chair it ourselves, which is fine with us unless anybody wants to volunteer to become the chair, in which case you are more than welcome. Okay, let's jump in. So we have just a bunch of updates for you all today. I'll start with a call to order and determination of quorum. Go ahead, Janine. Do we do a roll call for this?
Yes.
All right.
City of Davis,
Present.
City of West Sacramento.
Here.
City of Woodland.
Winters?
Woodland.
Woodland here.
City of Winters.
Winters here.
And Yolo Solano Air Quality Management District. Caltrans.
Here. Thank you.
And UC Davis. Unitrans.
Here.
Thank you.
So we have a quorum, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. At this time, we take comments from members of the public. Do we have any members of the public online?
No public comment.
Okay, great. All right, so the next agenda item is to approve the meeting minutes from the November 3rd meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Alan. So we have a motion from the City of Winters. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ryan. Second from City of Davis. Do we need a roll call vote? No. Okay. Any objections? I'm seeing a thumbs up. All right. All in favor, unmute yourself and say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. I'm just
Aye.
making this. All right. Great. It's a good thing our lawyer doesn't come to these meetings, so she might have something to say to me. All right, let's move right on. So our major agenda items for the day are going to be updates on our short-range transit plan, our YATSE, our active transportation corridors plan, and then the transit operations contract. And then we've got an amendment to our meeting schedule to add a meeting. But so let's go ahead and jump in, and I will turn it over to Lola to start with our SRTP update.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's staying dry. Just a quick update from me on the short range transit plan, or SRTP. So where we are, we have concluded for the first two phases of public outreach. And so we presented that along with some funding scenarios to our board earlier this year. And we heard back from our board some feedback about the funding scenarios. They were sort of uncertain about it, and so they have asked us to go out for additional comment. So we will be meeting with the City of Woodland staff next week, and then the first 2 weeks of March, we will be meeting with the Transportation Commission for Davis, as well as the Mobility and Transportation Commission, I'm getting that name wrong, for West Sacramento, to present about the different funding scenarios. And so what that essentially means is what will happen when the board officially adopts our short-range transit plan. Along with it will be a 4 funding scenarios, basically 100% meaning the same miles and hours that we currently offer, as well as an aspirational scenario. So if additional funding drops from the sky, we can all hope that, and also 2 other funding reduction scenarios, if you will, meaning we have to, for various reasons, cut service and cut miles and hours to our existing service for what we're currently offering. And so we are waiting on more information from our transit operations contract, which has closed, and the proposals are currently being reviewed. So more to come on that, but we will just be presenting the 4 funding scenarios to the entities that I mentioned earlier and to get their feedback. Meanwhile, our consultant TMD is also developing several items for us, including bus stop standards and guidelines. So when all of you agencies who have land use authority, which we do not, install bus stops, you sort of know the parameters of what we require for our buses. As well as they're identifying new bus stop locations as part of the short range transit plan, as part of rerouting scenarios. And they're also looking at fare policy and things like that don't necessarily require more feedback from the board regarding the funding. We are currently scheduled to go back to our board in May with all of that, more of that information, and so more to come later and towards the spring. And I feel like I went through a lot at you. So with that, I will stop and feel free to ask any questions.
I do have a question. This is Brent from Woodland. I know I've read some stuff, and I think the most recent report, but I'm just in anticipation of our meeting. Do we have a latest kind of baseline of information? I thought I read either in the January or maybe December. There was some report on kind of what you just described, but is there anything more recent that I should read prior to the meeting?
Sure. We're working with TMD right now to get slightly updated tables that were presented from our January meeting. From the funding scenarios, there was some small typos that were identified, some copy paste issues that were identified during that meeting and during the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting that we had earlier this month. And so as soon as I get those, I can share those with you, but I can't guarantee, Brent, that you would get them before Monday, but we will have those all ready for you by Monday.
Okay. But if I don't get those, the latest you have is what was presented at the January board meeting. At the
CAC meeting. That'll be the latest. The Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, which was on the 6th. February 6th.
Okay. And that was a little bit updated from the board meeting in January?
Correct, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to say most of the changes were winters. If I'm not mistaken, right, in terms of what was changed between the January board meeting and the February CAC?
It fixed the typos that were reflected in the staff report, but not the slides. So the slides were incorrect. The staff report was correct, but that wasn't clear because it's a bunch of tables and it's hard to go back and forth. And yes,
the routing. I thought the
routing of winters would have been reflected in the CAC, but there's still some miles and hours changes that our TMD is working on for winters specifically. That is not in the CAC packet.
Okay.
Good question.
Thanks.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Lola. And looking forward to getting the feedback on, from the outreach that we're on this phase we'll be doing. Next, Brian is going to give an update on YATC implementation.
Good afternoon, everyone. As you're aware, the Yolo Active Transportation Corridors Plan we've been working on actively over the past year and a half to 2 years, and we are we're preparing to cross the finish line with the plan component of the project. Consultants are wrapping up the draft and responding to comments. We're working on some additional revisions. We did bring the draft plan to our Citizens Advisory Committee last January, which was on the 27th, for some feedback. We're currently working on an implementation strategy document that will accompany the plan so that we can keep track of its progress over time. So Right now, what that implementation strategy kind of focuses on are the 4 projects that we know are in progress right now: Madison to Sparta, Woodland to Davis, the Winters 505 overcrossing, and the Clarksburg branch line trail extension. We're gonna be doing another round of sort of review. We're gonna schedule a project TAC level meeting. That group hasn't met in quite a while. I think it's good to get some additional eyes on that and have them provide their feedback on it. Most of you, serve on that project level TAC, so expect to receive something in the next week or so to schedule that meeting. And then we'll be doing the same thing as with the SRTP, kind of going around to the transportation related commissions. Transportation Commission in Davis, Westack Mobility and Transportation, Yolo County Transportation Advisory Committee. We'll go back to our Citizens Advisory Committee for final action from them, and then our board, and then Yolo County Board of Supervisors, because this will be replacing the 2013 bicycle transportation plan. All in all, we think the process will wrap up in mid to late spring. Meanwhile, we are still developing the alignment alternatives for the Madison to Sparta and Woodland to Davis segment. So we've looked at feasible options there, and consultants are surveying and base mapping, progressing with the intent to have a credible application for the statewide ATP program for the Madison and the Sparta segment this spring. Finally, we've been selected to present at the CalBike conference in April for the project, sort of exploring the nuances and lessons learned of doing, planning and outreach for active transportation in a rural environment. And so we're looking forward to presenting that. And if you have any interest in learning more about some of the specifics about our project, feel free to attend that session if you plan on going. I think that does it for my formal update. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to field them.
I did have a question. I know for Woodland City Council, we have this down for April 7th presentation. Are we still aiming for that date, or is there a different date we should be looking at?
It'd still be okay for that date.
Okay, thanks.
And do you have a date for the Transportation Commission in Davis?
Think. Yes, we do.
Okay.
I think it's March.
Sounds
Brenda was coordinating with Jennifer on that. And I think March was where we landed.
perfect. Thank you.
For Westack, I assume you coordinated with Jason or Steve.
Yeah, Brenda was doing that. I think we're on the calendar. I just can't remember the date specifically.
Okay, because we do every odd month, so it's either March or May.
It's gotta be March then.
When's Woodland gonna have a transportation commission, Brent?
Sorry, I missed that. What?
I was kind of teasing you. I was saying, when is Woodland gonna have a transportation commission?
Yeah, we don't have that.
I
We used to
know.
have a traffic safety commission.
You used to, you say, or you do?
We used to. We lost staffing during the Great Recession, and as a result of that loss of staff, we closed down the Traffic Safety Commission. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, as you can tell, anytime you bring one back, we'll be happy to fill your agendas.
Sounds good.
All right, are there any other questions or comments on the Yahtzee plan at this point? All right, hearing none, I have a feeling this meeting is going to be over by 2 p.m., y'all. So let's go, unless you guys have a lot of questions for me on the transit operations contract. So let's dive into that. Apparently I was the only one that prepared a staff report. But yes, this is just a very brief update on what's going on with our procurement of a transit operations contract. Now, I know some of you actually serve on the evaluation panel for that, so this is going to be redundant for some of you. But yes, we do have now, we've received 4 bids on our contract, including some very familiar faces. It's great that we got 4 bids. That's awesome. We wanted to make sure we actually had a really competitive procurement. As many of you know, with Transdev or their predecessors have been our contractor for a very, very long time. So we're excited to have, I think all 4 proposals are pretty strong. They're all complete applications. And they're all fairly competitive from a cost perspective. Without saying too much about the process, or about the bids themselves, I'll just say, you know, with the SRTP, right, we have this like 10% service reduction scenario and a 20% service reduction scenario. We hoped that we wouldn't have to contemplate anything bigger than that. And based on the pricing that we're seeing in these bids, it doesn't seem like we will. It seems like we should be able to accommodate a new contract within the 80 or 90% service scenario if we don't have additional funding to offset the increased costs. So that's good news. The evaluation panel had its kickoff meeting last week. Those of you who are on it are sitting with thousands of pages of documents right now to review. Thank you in advance. If you have any issues, if you're having any issues accessing the documents, make sure to let me or Courtney know. And then the last thing I'll say, there's a timeline in the packet there. Because not all of you we didn't want to have an evaluation panel that was exceedingly large. So not all of you have a seat on that evaluation panel. But what we heard from several of our board members is they wanted to make sure that those agencies that are not on the evaluation panel have a chance to review and weigh in on this contract before it goes to the board for approval. So the last agenda item on this is to add a special TAC meeting in order, essentially after the evaluation panel has made its proposal, to have the TAC review that prior to it going to the board. So before we segue into that, which is the next agenda item, I'll just pause there and see if there's any questions. All right, not hearing much. So sounds like you guys are on board with what we're doing here. No questions. So then let's just move on to our final agenda item, which is to approve, there's no action on this, but so our last one is actually, is it an information item or an action item?
It should be action.
It should be action, okay. So we're asking you to approve an amendment to the 2026 TAC meeting schedule to add a special meeting in April. And that is Monday, April 6th at 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. So again, the purpose of that is to review the evaluation panel's recommended bidder to a recommendation to the board to award the contract to a particular bidder. Are there any questions on that or comments about the date? If not, I'll be looking for a motion to approve that change to the calendar.
This is Alan. I'll be coming back from the East Coast, so I won't be able to attend. Can I review and provide comments that I would have shared?
Yeah, we typically send out this packet right the Friday beforehand. And given the somewhat tight timeline we have for the evaluation panel process, I don't know that we could get it to you that far in advance. Much more in advance than the Friday before.
Yeah. Okay.
That work?
Not really, but that's all right.
Well, we could, I mean, we could also, I know it's painful to do this on the fly, but we could also look at, and then sometimes this group meets on Tuesday afternoons instead of Monday afternoons. I don't know if we met that Tuesday, that would still that would still work for our board packet. Our board meets the following Monday. Would Tuesday afternoon work better for folks? For you, Alan, in particular, and would it work for everybody else?
Yeah, that's fine with me, but
So we'd be looking at, let me just get there in the calendar. So Tuesday, April 7th at 1:30 p.m. Does that work for folks? Brian?
I got a conflict. I got a 2 to 3 on the schedule that I assume several people in this meeting are going to be part of.
can we do 1 to 2?
You know, I have a conflict at 1:30. But I'm also thinking I'm one of the people that's represented on the panel. So I mean, I feel like this is more for what the county and winners who aren't going to be represented.
Right.
That's
So I
true.
feel like the timing should probably be dictated by those two, just those two, right? County and winners.
Well, and Caltrans and the Air District and yeah, but yes.
But yeah, if Davis or Woodland miss the meeting, it's not the end of the world.
Yes, I don't know what that conflict is and who else is conflicted by that, but does that work? I guess Todd, would that work for you?
I'm out that whole week. It's spring break that week for Woodland schools. So, but if I can prepare, our director to, he would like to be there instead of me, or my principal civil engineer, I can prepare them. So if we have any comments, we're represented.
Okay,
The conflicting meeting is the SACOG project delivery quarterly meeting.
that's kind of an important one.
Can I confirm for a second? The agenda says Monday, April 6th, but we're talking Tuesday, April 7th. Is it Tuesday, April 7th that we're talking? Okay.
Sorry, yeah, we were just because Alan Mitchell was saying that Monday, April 6th didn't work for him.
Okay, sorry.
I mean, okay, we could also do something where we don't have a formal meeting of the TAC, but we just do individual meetings with you, Alan, and you, Todd. That we schedule those just to have you go over it with you.
Sure.
How does that work? Does that sound easier?
Yeah, Tuesday at 1 p.m. or 11 a.m. or we just have staff meeting at 2 to 3:30 typically in winters.
Okay, well, Alan, why don't we do this? Why don't we schedule a meeting that day with you, and then Todd, maybe we do it with you the week prior, like the Friday before? Does that sound good?
I think that should work.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who would like to then have a separate meeting, or is everybody else just comfortable either through your participation on the evaluation panel? Everybody else good? Okay.
Yeah.
Hearing that. Oh, go ahead, Brent.
No, I was going to say we're good.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll make an action item to follow up with you, Todd and Alan, to get individual meetings scheduled to brief you before it goes out to our board.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So I think that's it for that item. So no action on that particular agenda item. And then the last thing we have is the long range calendar. Where is the long range calendar? It's in front of the long range calendar. Thank you, Brian. Okay. All right, so we get cross April 2026 off. In May, that's everyone's favorite meeting of the year, everyone's favorite TAC meeting of the year. We'll be presenting the budget and work plan for fiscal year 26-27. And we also ambitiously have an SRTP implementation update for you and a 5-year capital improvement plan. So I hope we have 90 minutes blocked out for that meeting, because that's going to be a doozy. And that's it. That's all we have on the long range calendar. Any questions on that? or additions to the May agenda, because you all want a longer meeting? Okay. Well, in that case, I think we're done. Anything else anybody wanted to share in terms of updates or whatnot before we jump off? Or questions on other things we didn't update you on today? I have a question. Alan Mitchell, why are you black and white?
I look better in black and white. Just to change it up once in a while.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if this was like a winter's, marketing thing.
Yeah, I couldn't afford the color version of Zoom.
Thanks. All right, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
everybody.
Hi.
Yeah. Bye.